All right. Feels so good to be back. Man, what have I been doing all this traveling for? Like, sometimes it's okay to go out, but at the end of the day, I kind of just want to go back to the station and go ahead and broadcast out to the millions of people that have been waiting, and they've been waiting too long for this episode. So let me go ahead and fire it up. Welcome to the J-Man Show here on... Hold on a second. Oh, boy. Isn't it something how you have to go and you have to find, like, the music for your shows and stuff? It'd be like that sometimes, Oh, which, by the way, now we can go ahead and do it. Alright, once again, from the top, don't hold back. No, wait. Well, that's not it. Ah, boy. Give me a minute, y'all. Gotta get it all figured out here. Now we can do this. Welcome to the J-Man Show here on
J360 Radio.
Oh, man. It feels so good to be back. Hey, how's it going, J360 Legion? What is happening? Welcome to the J-Man Show 349 here at J360 Radio. And I'm your host, J-Man, of course. And let me just tell you, it's been a wild week. I thought, a lot of my earlier assignments were taken care of, but it turns out I had to go back out into the field again because there was a whole row of them for this final week. For my day job, it was like a big celebration this whole entire month. So I was like, well, I can handle it, you know what I mean? And I had to. So I went ahead and I took care of business, and I was like, I figured you guys will be all set and ready to go because the Monster Fest is right here, and it is the biggest event in J360 Productions. So, I go back and I come back strong. You see what I'm saying? Gotta give to the day job, and then I gotta give to my other job. So, I'm not mad about it. Just need to be done. It does feel kind of weird to be doing the J-Man Show on a Friday when it really should be Jams time. But it's not Jams time. As a matter of fact, that was planned smartly too, because here's the thing. J360 Jams 100 is coming. And it is part of the Monster Fest. And let me let y'all know, submissions are open. So if anybody wants to submit 2 tracks to J360 Jams 100, it is open to you. I need it by next Thursday at 5 o'clock p.m. Well, yes, for consideration. And not to mention making sure everybody is on it and ready to go. I mean, it's a very big deal. I was sitting there and I was like, man, the fact that we are doing the Monster Fest again for pretty much about the 7th time, because the whole thing started in the 2nd season. And then we are over here and we're doing the 100th episode of Jams in it. And then, we're also across that milestone with Jams TV. And, man, we just been knocking it out of the park lately. I am very happy with the way results are going. And, this is just the beginning of better things to come because I got some other plans in the works. And not to mention, I've been doing a bit of a dry run for the Monster Fest. I looked over some shows and movies that I've done, and some stories that I've covered last time around. And I gotta say this, considering all this Godzilla love nowadays, Godzilla in '98, which dealt with Zilla, I still say it's not that bad of a movie. I mean, by the time you get to the Madison Square Garden scene, it kind of loses its suspense of disbelief. But a lot of the chase sequences and a lot of the action that took place in New York with the way the monster was, because it's not Godzilla, it's its own monster at best. And it's now considered canon anyway, so, we can go ahead and call it something else. We can just call it Zilla, which is what Toho calls it anyway, because it took the god out of Zilla. But I'll be perfectly honest with you, I enjoyed a lot of the sequences, and not to mention the animated series was much better anyway, because while the Thing was acting as its own, it did have the atomic blast of Godzilla, and it did fight against other monsters in the show, including like a reconstructed version of the monster that was in the movie. Like, if you ever took the time to watch that animated series, you can. It's out there. It's definitely out there. And some people consider it lost media. I say, like, it didn't get the exposure as it should have gotten. But, because, well, it just wasn't Godzilla, But then when you watch the animated series, it kind of changes your perspective on it. And I can say I can give that movie a pass. Even with P. Diddy singing, "Come with me." Which, by the way, has anybody's playlist changed as of late with all of these things going on in entertainment now? I know, like, I stopped listening to R. Kelly for the longest time. And I know, like, with P. Diddy, I never considered him more of a rapper. I considered him more of a, a mogul in other ways. And now, even then, that's kind of changed, too, because my dude was the Caligula of a new age, But then again, it's not just him. There's a bunch of other freaks out there in Hollywood that are just, that power dynamic, Well, what's the old adage that absolute power corrupts absolutely or something, And it just makes you wonder. It's like, at the end of the day, all this stuff is going to fall apart anyway. People are going to get tired of being treated, treated like items and treated like side choices and all that kind of stuff. It's really, really sad that our whole thing has become this, but it's like, after a while, when this stuff just caves in on people, whatever form of power they may have, it lets you know that eventually people are not going to remember all the words that were said. Some will, but they're going to remember how you made them feel. Which is why, like, sometimes I even had to chill out with the way I was acting. Like, if you think about the way I was during the second season of Jams, or like, that stuff just comes, and then after a while, you start seeing how you are because of the people that you deal with from time to time, and, I never used my position to get ass or anything and stuff, but I can see how you think you're untouchable. I can see how you think, like, at the end of the day, you don't owe anybody anything, and then, if you are smart about it, you really don't, and nobody owes you anything either. It should be all about everybody working together, forming a community, but the real monsters are always among us. And you're probably thinking, what does that have to do with the Monster Fest, right? Well, yeah, the real monsters are among us. When people are panicked, they act a certain way. When people are mistreated and the stuff becomes publicized and everything, they act a certain way too. And then there's always somebody out there that's worse than what you had to deal with. Isn't that some shit? It's really, really sad, y'all. And I mean, from time to time, I just hope that, for the people that work with me, I'm a pretty good leader. And then the people that, I work with on Jams, that I curated you and treated you well. And that other people out there treat you well, too. Because I know, like, there's some that, well, they're not as humble, or they're not as, like, introspective about things sometimes. Like, and that's just the way that is. Everybody's different. And then, of course, ego is a bitch. And then there are some people that deserve what the hell they did because they do terrible things. Like, there are some people that thought they were my proteges, and then they were like, I got to know them. Like, I mean, liking people and getting to know people are two very different things. So remember, when you know somebody, you know how they act, you know how they behave because of the way things are in the digital playground, if you will. Or even out there in, like, real life, Because, if anything, I wish people would understand that your digital life is an extension of your real life. It's pretty much you in the same way. You just... I love it when people try not to own up to it. And you'll notice them because they're always quiet about this stuff. But, if you're a monster digitally, chances are you're a monster in real life, too. Especially with the things that you do and how you try to lord over people and all that kind of stuff. Even when it comes to women sometime, it's just like, there are moments where women mistreat other women wrong, and then there are also the fact that, when you look at, like, rich and powerful people mistreating women quite a lot, too. And it's really, really sad, And I'm not saying that there aren't men out there that aren't mistreated either. It's just, we are all really, really shit to each other. So when you look back at it sometimes, I'm like, look, I'm not going to go at you like that. Like I said, the only time like it ever comes, contention ever happens between me and another person is usually when a boundary's cross. You know what I'm saying? Like when people try to act like they can do things better than me and all that kind of stuff. Acting and doing are two very different things. If you can, what the fuck ever, I'm not watching you. I'm taking care of my own stuff. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you do have to protect your base. You do have to protect what's meaningful for you. You do have to take care of your own stuff. And I wish people would really look into that from time to time. But I also noticed this, too. You want to know how really monstrous people can be? If somebody is blamed for something because of their reputation alone, and there is no such thing as, like, the evidence, according to them, even though there's plenty of evidence to expunge the person that is accused, that is terrible. Because you'll see it. You'll see it all the time with some of these would-be journalists and some of these would-be influential people who are trying so hard to scream for someone's blood in the streets all the time. And it's like, well, what if they didn't do anything? Like, what if we're all just going at this half-cocked and we're just really, really doing this because we don't like them? That doesn't happen. Yeah, I don't think that's the real point about it, Jay. I just know that this person has something against them. How do you know that this person has something against them? Like, really, like, what did they do to you that got you so bent out of shape? I just don't like them. See, that's not good enough, but the problem is with the internet, when you shoot from the hip, you don't care about what damage you did, right? I mean, after all, that's not your reputation like anything. That's just you. Like, there are times where I saw a few things, and there was plenty of proof to even get rid of this person and not even to work with them anymore. But then all of a sudden, nobody, you know what I mean? Like, nobody went after that. Nobody actually stood up and took out a monster that was sex fiending on different girls multiple times. You know what I'm saying? There was nobody that actually stood up to even pursue that whole thing at that point, because that person is still making music and running around. But hey, that has nothing to do with me. That's on y'all. Because when I saw all of that evidence piling up of where, like, the girl was, mistreated by that individual who dressed as another girl, I really was freaked out that day. And it's not even because of the cross-dressing. It's because of everything else that followed. And the voice messages and the pictures and just... that shit was disgusting. I remember seeing that and I was really, really... Oof. That's why you guys didn't get no J-Man show for a week there in 2023. I was like, oh, Lord. Because I had to process that myself. I try to work with as many different people around the world and everything. But I also remember quite a lot of those people around the world, they got demons too. We all have our problems in life. Don't think that you don't, because if you start thinking that I'm a good person, that's a red flag right there. Thinking and being a good person are two very different things. And the fact is that most people that you meet in the world, they don't announce that they're a good person. You see what I'm saying? We all have something to work on. We all have something about ourselves that ain't too pretty in the real world. I mean, we all do. And then some of us are very aloof about it and then think it's somebody else's mess to clean up. Like I said, I can't go and do the Monster Fest without not talking about the real monsters that surround you and me and things. And as crazy as that is, it's like, yeah, it's very true. But, what are you going to do these days? Like, everything is getting a pass and people don't, go at things. Everybody's like, y'all, and I don't know and stuff. But that's when you have evidence. Now, if you're over there shooting from the hip and, you don't have evidence and you're wrong about it and you're making yourself viable to be liable and also slander, whole different ball game. It just gets you thinking. The way stuff goes and all that jazz. And by the way, as we are diving into all this stuff right now, Red Circle is really booming for J360 Radio and all that stuff. Like, the mini bites have finally achieved their monetization options, so shout outs to that. And if you are listening on Red Circle, the ads will be right here. Oh, hey, I need to pay that rent, damn it. Shoot. This stuff ain't for the cheap. I mean, let's just be perfectly honest. Make that money, too. Oh, by the way. Don't you just love it when people try to use the end is nigh for everything? I saw so much doomsday crap on the way coming in. Like everybody saying, these are the end times. Nothing's going to be different. Nothing's going to be making a change here. And I'm like, will you shut up? Stop it right now. Y'all said that way, way back in 2020. You said that way back in, dare I say it, 2015. Hell, you said it way back in 2010. Stop it right now. Matter of fact, I remember when this one guy was saying, like, the world was going to end in, like, 2008. And I remember where I was during that. I went right to Walmart that very day. And got me a whole bunch of, you know, not stuff to be, like, stored up. But I managed to get me some lunch meat. And I managed to get me some chips. And maybe a 12-pack of Cokes. And I came back on home, and only thing that happened was it was raining. I mean, granted, if you believe what you believe, you know, the world did end with water, but this second time around, the world was supposed to end with fire. So, it's like, what were you saying? And none of it came to light. I was like, there were people out there, right? All running around here saying that the world was going to end, They were all buying stuff. They were all getting, like, data packs and everything else to keep their stuff running. Like, kind of like one of those shows back in the day where I think it was was it Revolution or something like that? Where, like, certain things had power and certain things did not. There was, like, this mass EMP and all. Like, there were plenty of people out there going and getting their generators and all that. Like, that's really going to help them. Unless it's gas powered, I mean, you're kind of screwed, but whatever. You know, they were doing all these things because the end was nigh, and there were people that were buying into it. Much like how multiverses used to be cool at one time, you know, post-apocalyptic stuff, depending on who makes the material nowadays, can be cool also. But there are just people like this. I wish they would go and write a damn book or something, or I wish they would go ahead and make a movie out of all the mindless garble that's coming out of their mouth, because from time to time it'll happen. It's just not going to happen now. And even if it did, it's like, you know, we live to die anyway. As human beings, we're all going to go. You know, I hate to tell you that, and I hate to go ahead and say, like, you know, we all going to be around forever. But you know what? In doing so, here's the thing. There's going to be a moment where our sunsets come into play, too. Some people's sunsets come early for them because they're friggin' idiots, and then other people because of circumstances and what have you, you know? But we are living to die. You know, after a while, we are going to go somewhere. It's just as crazy, like, when people come up and say, I wish James Earl Jones was still alive. Why? He lived a full life. I mean, look, I know it's too soon to say that stuff, and I'm not trying to be mean, but I always say, like, why? He was in his 90s. He lived a full life. He did a lot of things and broke a lot of ground and voiced plenty of iconic characters. Hell, he was the voice. But, you know, he wasn't going to be around forever. And the same thing for, you know, for Dame Maggie Smith. Like, she wasn't going to be around forever. And her career, much like James Earl Jones, went over different generations. The same thing for Mel Brooks. And it's the same thing for, like, you know, Lloyd Kaufman and Charles Band. Like, a lot of people that we hold dear and stuff like that, they're going away because their sunset has come in. It's all of us that are running around here with midlife crisis and all this other crazy stuff that, you know, our society feeds us every day. Are we doing enough? Have we achieved everything? Have we made success? Are we failures in life? It's like, what the hell is going on? Like, some people who have wrote books never see to get them credit, whether it be self-published or whether it be, you know, trying to work with different printers to get things going. I mean, like, I get it. Like, your first book, maybe, the person that is around you, unless you got representation, I mean, they always try to find a way to stop you from doing things, but you got to be tactful enough to go ahead and say, no, I am not going to get caught in this trap. I'm going to find a way to get this published, get this printed, because you got people that are making books all the time. You know, some of them are not proofread, and plenty of them are just ebooks that float there because they're not promoted, but you can find a way to make this stuff happen, just like with animation and all. It's just, you can find a way to animate your show and to actually make quality programs without going through mainstream media. And you could probably do it 10 times better than they do. That's when they start coming around looking at you and then, you know, slinging over to say, hey, would you sign this NDA and everything? Because I want to take over the show you made. Is that okay? You know, you won't be able to do anything because we got AI and all that stuff. And maybe a couple of people in Middle Eastern countries that we could go ahead and, you know, do the work for you. Which is so sad because quite a lot of that stuff is true to form. And I'm not saying that, you know, to have people in different countries working on your show is a bad thing entirely. But the thing about it is, though, they're all trying to find a way to save a buck. And pretty much, when you worked on this stuff, you know your investment. You know what you did to make it. And the truth is that, like, if you're getting paid pretty well for it, but you love maintaining it, you wouldn't want to go for a deal like that anyway. Depending on how sweet it may be, or depending on how, you know, you may just want to retire from it and go do something else. There's a lot of things about it. You know, it gets kind of tough too, because there are moments where when you're trying to do different things, people like to keep you in that one spot that you've done. It's kind of like where, like, people forget that I do jams because I do the J-Man show. And then when I'm doing jams all the time, they forget the J-Man show and the Power Play exists. And it's like, even though it says on the 10, J360 Productions, it's a productions company. You know what I mean? Media production. Or they forget that J360 TV is a thing too. That is just how friggin' weird the world is. And the whole point is, it was right there in front of you the whole time. I always look at it, and I always get a very, very, very funny laugh out of it. But at the same time, I also know that, once again, you're conveying is just people listen slow, and then what with all the ailments that we have in the world too. Have you noticed that there are many people trying to diagnose people as well? Like, they are trying to diagnose people and say that, oh, you have this, or the reason why you can't comprehend is because you have that, or all this. Armchair diagnostics is really stupid. Okay? I always say this. You're causing a lot more harm than good when you do that. Like, when you have peer consultation and all, take it with a grain of salt. I mean, it does help a little bit, but you want to find somebody with accreditation if they're going to go ahead and diagnose you for this crap. I say this a lot. It's just like when I look at things like BetterHelp, and when I look at things such as, you know, God, quite a lot of those drug commercials that pop on during the news. I'm wondering if it really solves the problem. I'm wondering if we are getting to the bottom of things. And then, you know what? I always think this. No. That's monstrous right there. Some of the crap that they, they put in pills for us and stuff. And you know the Food and Drug Administration is slow on any damn thing dealing with drugs for some reason. When it comes to food, they're usually kind of quick. But, you know, there are times where they really be slow with that as well. Unless it's like a big deal, and then all of a sudden, something for us to be aware of. You know? And I always look at the drug crisis as like something major, because some people need medicine. Some people need certain things to stay alive, to keep them, you know, to keep them functional, to keep them regular. Plenty of it could be affordable. But, you know, the big pharma behind it doesn't want to make it affordable. They want a little bit of those extra ends, which is really sad. And then don't get me started on Ozempic. I mean, there's got to be something about that BS that's really unethical. Matter of fact, I didn't get a chance to watch the South Park special about it. But, you know, I got to dive and do my own research on it. Because plenty of things get started with the good intentions. Never forget that. Never forget that, you know, the road to hell is paved with the best intentions. And I'm not trying to say the end is nigh. Things do come to an end, but enjoy it on the way. Do a nice enjoyment of your life. Live. You know? Like when you watch Godzilla Minus One, you got to see like why certain people were talking about why life is very important, why war is kind of pointless, and then not to mention, you know, as they did go to war against Godzilla and all, whole thing was a beautiful metaphor, and it was well done, you know? And speaking of which, I will be watching Minus One again for the Monster Fest, not to mention, we won't be waiting until later in the event for Godzilla movies. We're going to mix it all in, y'all. Hey, since I got all of the Shota series, I got all the Heishi, the Millennium, and of course, all the New Age Godzilla stuff, we are going to have some fun. And then not to mention all the classic monster movies, plenty from Tubi, and then there are some off of Shudder. And then, of course, I wanted to go ahead and do a review on Slaughter Beach. Plenty of things that need to be taken care of. And by the way, I want to give another shout out to the boys in Delaware, Clockout Films, for what they're working on right now. First State of Fear, their first anthology feature. Can't wait! Oh my god, I'm looking forward to a lot of the new stories to be hashed out, and I love anthology stuff. Which, by the way, we did cover Tales from the Dark Side. So we will be utilizing more of the Twilight Zone in addition to, let's see, what's this one? Ooh, Tales from the Crypt. The classic series. Ooh, man. And I guess for the kids, we could give them something. But then again, I don't have a show for kids at this current time, so the heck with it. And then not to mention, you know, you're going to see other J360 TV functions that will appear from time to time. So stay tuned to it. Of course, the links to all of the things that I'm going to be doing and operating from are always in the description box. And anybody that's putting on a show or whatever, you know, let me know about it. And I also have a special show listening party, if you will, for Frightful Refrains coming on J360 Radio Wednesday the 23rd at 6 o'clock p.m. Eastern. That is going to be lit. Or is it 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern? Let me see. Yep, that's it. So you got plenty of things happening then. Me and the Furk Man are going to be going ahead and co-hosting this special event. And you get to listen to it here on J360 Radio, so you don't have nothing to worry about. But I want to say this, though. Be sure to, yeah, actually it is. It is. Let me read that for you guys again. The Frightful Refrains listening party is October 23rd at 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern. Yep. That's when it all goes down. That's when it's all happening. And we're going to have a great time with this, you know. Spooky month is here. And and if you have not experienced the J360 Monster Fest, you are going to be in for a good, fun ride. I'm telling you that right now. By the way, I saw the posters for Frightland appearing, too, around here in Delaware. So, man, I can't wait. I can't wait. The local attractions are happening. Actually, didn't Knott's Farm over there in California start doing their stuff too? That's gonna be cool. Yeah, that's gotta be cool. I would have loved to have been over there this year. Well, you know what? Hey, there will be another opportunity for me to go, so not worried about it. But I want you guys to know these things, and I want you guys to, you know, realize we're gonna have a great time. And of course, you'll be putting up with me most of the time, so I don't see why you wouldn't have a good time. But like I said, if the end is nigh, we're going to have a damn good time getting there. You see what I'm saying? That's what I want you all to take from this. Because we are on the road to the Monster Fest right now. And let me just tell you this. All the stuff that I got stored up here, guys. Ooh, you'll love it. Which reminds me, should we make more reels on the IG? Those are debatable questions. Will you guys be getting some exclusive content on the IG? Maybe. That's a good one. Actually, you'll see on Monday about like when it comes to certain circumstances like that. But all in all, though, I gotta say this is looking really, really good. And right now, as I'm talking to you all, I'm actually playing Darkstalkers on Nintendo Switch. Yeah, I'm glad that this finally got a release like it did. Of course, it's under the title of Capcom Fighting Games Collection. Or, yeah, Capcom Fighting Collection, I should say. Number 1. Because number 2 will be coming in with all the SNK team-ups and everything. Not to mention Rival Schools. And, let's see, Power Stone. And Why am I talking about that? That's 2025. But I needed to mention it, though, because I know a lot of my friends out there, we're all going to be getting this game, and we need to go ahead and battle each other. We need to just have a good time with it. You know what I'm saying? But we can also do the same thing for the Fighting Games Collection Volume 1. Matter of fact, I think I got it for all the systems. Yeah, I actually do. Nice! So, like I say, you guys are just going to stay tuned with what's happening. But, yeah, man, I've just been enjoying a lot of things here. As I was out there and about, I was writing down things when I was coming back. And also I knew, like, I needed to give you guys a great episode. And, you know, there's a lot of milestones that are about to be hit because, you know, the J-Man Show 350 is your first Monster Fest episode this year. So, yeah, baby. It was well worth the wait. And, you know, speaking of which, for another movie tonight, I think it's time for me to watch some Godzilla, you know, some Godzilla Kong. Not Godzilla vs. Kong, which, by the way, still a good film to me to this day. I liked it, you know what I'm saying? I can understand where the human element got on my nerves, but then again, as a Godzilla fan, that usually happens. But, looking back on it, I thought it was a nice rematch between two iconic monsters. So, it was fine. And then, like, the team-up movie that came afterwards, thinking back on it, it was pretty good. Except for that part where they're fighting in zero gravity. I was like, this is a little on the nose. But you know what, though? It does harken back to those days where, you know, Godzilla did some cheesy things over his history, and so did Kong, too. So, I look past it, but the battle sequences later on, not bad. You know, Mothra coming back. Yeah, I liked it. It was a good movie. Matter of fact, that's my movie of the year. Followed by Deadpool and Wolverine. But the biggest movie to come is really taking center stage now. And that is Sonic the Hedgehog 3. With Shadow involved in it. And oh my god, like, I'm looking for as many Sonic Adventure 2 references as possible. I can't wait. This needs to be done. And I know it comes out in December, and we'll be done with the Monster Fest by November 4th. So, yeah. Actually, isn't November 4th Election Day? Wow. God, the busy schedule never stops for me, because I got stuff to do that day, too. Ain't that about save it. The point is that, like, with this movie right here, I actually enjoyed 2024. I can't wait to see Sonic 3. Whew. And not to mention, Keanu Reeves is the right fit for Shadow. I mean, who would have thought, huh? And I'm glad he's getting a lot of respect on his name. Well, Keanu always had it. But I'm talking about Shadow the Hedgehog. I've seen so many Shadow the Hedgehog fans come out of the woodwork as of late and everything. And I'm like, you know what? I'm feeling pretty proud about this. And then not to mention, I managed to get some sort of Shadow memorabilia. You ever see those Sonic the Hedgehog cable guy holders and stuff like that? Like, you know, they hold like your phone, or they hold your controller and all. Well, see, it was hard to find like Shadow, and I went ahead and I got them off of eBay for about $20. But I stole them out of another car. So, you know, hey, that's how it is in the eBay game. It's the Wild Wild West, baby. So I don't know who the hell was planning to buy them, but you're too slow. And plus, he sits really cool next to the one I got of Sonic from Sonic Adventure 2. So there you go. So, I need to complete the set, man. See, there's a reason for my madness. I know exactly what I must do, and that was it. But all in all, though, guys, I mean, that's pretty much what I have for you all tonight. I mean, I know it feels like it's kind of open-ended and a little bit of a ramble, but, you know, like I said, I couldn't throw too many Monster Fest stuff to you guys yet. And not to mention, like, we're at that point where I just got back into town and all, so I know what the game plan is, and this is just to get you pumped up and ready. The real opening ceremonies for the Monster Fest is happening on Tuesday, but you know what? As per usual, you got to see the J360 logo turn red for it to actually matter. So, you know, you got to stay tuned for all that stuff, y'all. But this is J-Man signing off. Y'all take care of yourselves until then. Peace.